Welcome to Fueling Your Legacy, hosted by Samuel Knickerbocker. Each week, we expose the faulty foundational mindsets of the past and rebuild a new, stronger foundation essential in creating your legacy. We've got a lot of work to do, so let's get started. Welcome back to Fuel Your Legacy. I'm so excited for today. I am excited for what we're going to share. The one thing that I've learned over a long career of sales and interacting with people, doing my LDS mission in Scotland and Ireland, is body language, one, is very similar no matter where you are. There's going to be certain cues in the body language sphere that apply no matter what culture you're part of, no matter where you're coming from. Body language is going to be pretty universal in a lot of cases. Also, body language is the most percentage of actual communication out of any other percentage. So there's whole studies, whole fields of study, whole careers built around different aspects of studying body language, from the healthcare industry, from like police and social profiling industry. You've got sales who are actively involved in studying body language. You've got people who just study the face. You've got people who study your eye movements. You've got people who study all the wrinkles in your face. I mean, all these things, they're all studying the body language. What is the body communicating to somebody else? So that's what we're going to get into today. I'm super excited. But before that, I want to just make sure that everybody knows that if you want to get a shout out and get a little commercial for you or your business, whatever it is, then take a screenshot of this episode, post it on social media with tag myself in it, and you're going to get that shout out. And then I'll direct message you and make sure that we can give you the best value for what you are. If you've ever been looking for advertising, that's the place and the way to do it. Now, second is my website is continuing being built out still. So just keep doing that and messaging me if you'd like access to my book or my webinar. I'd love to give you access to those. And as we improve and build those out so they're even better, then we're going to do that for you. But there's a version of them that is live and ready to go as of right now. So if you're able to get into my Facebook or my Instagram, just reach out to me and I'll be able to help you get access to those so you can learn the 4 things that I'm going to talk about there. Are really how to gain confidence in your ability to build a legacy, how to heal your debt, heal your relationship with debt and with money, also how to legacize your money, how to legacize your budget and make sure that you're actually producing what you want. And then lastly is, man, why do I always forget the last one? That's so funny. The last one is the money exchange and understanding, well, not money exchange, but value exchange, understanding value exchange and why you may or may not need more to add more value in different areas of your life to get more monetary value or money. So that's what's going to be covered on the webinar. You're definitely going to want to check it out. Basically, this show is to help you understand 3 key components of building legacy: the habits, the mindsets, and the behaviors necessary to do so. Just so I can be clear as we talk about these types of communication, what do each of those things mean? What is the habit? What's the behavior? And what is a mindset? So mindset, really briefly, that is basically the way we think about the world, our identity, the things that we perceive and believe about who we are and how the world around us operates. That's going to be your mindset. Your behaviors are more of your confidence piece, your conscious things that you're doing on a daily basis that are going to support your ultimate legacy. And those are going to be conscious things. And so one of my objectives is to bring things from your unawareness, things that you're not aware of what you're doing, and bring them to your conscious mind, to your conscious awareness, so we can tweak them and make them perfect to support exactly what you want to come out of, rather than just letting the subconscious of millions of other people's programming into you. Rather than letting that take control, let's bring some of those habits back to the conscious level, back to the behavioral level, shift and tweak the little behaviors so that we are actually ultimately creating the habits that we want. The habits are what creates the legacy. The habit is your character. The habit's happening whether you are aware of it or not. It's a subconscious movement of who you are. And that is really where your character is built, because, well, I guess your character's built in the behavior section, but your character lives out to what your character actually is in the habit phase, right? Because those habits that you've developed, those are what are going to kick into play no matter where you are, whether you're alone, whether you're in a crowd. Those are the habits that are going to ultimately define your character and create your legacy. So if you want to have solid habits, and you have to be conscious of how you're creating those habits, and to be conscious of that, you have to be in the right mindset and be clear about your identity and what you want to make sure the whole process flows properly. And so just know this podcast, not just this episode, but the whole Fuel Your Legacy podcast is absolutely focused on the habits, mindsets, and behaviors that are essential for you to create your meaningful legacy. And I specialize in helping you gain the financial confidence to make sure that those habits, mindsets, and behaviors are in place for your legacy. So when we get into body language, this is key, because your body language is so subconscious that you aren't even, it's crazy. I mean, you just don't even know how much you're communicating unless you've planned it out, unless you know what it is that you want to communicate. And that requires you kind of have to work backwards, okay? So one of the things that's really, really helpful with body language is, first, go and observe other people's body language. Say, why did they look that direction? Why did they move their hands that way? Why did they raise their eyebrows? Why did they smile? Why did they smirk? Why did they do all of these different things? And how does that body language impact, right? If they're folding their arms, why are they folding their arms? What's the expression on their face or the rest of their body? What's the energy that's coming from them that's saying, no, they're folding their arms because their hands are cold and they need somewhere to hold their hands? Or are they folding their arms, they're leaned back a little bit like, hey, I'm smarter than you and I'm not listening anymore, okay? So there's two different ways that somebody could fold their arms. One is interested and cold, and the other is laid back, I'm better than you, right? So you have to be able to learn these body language types. I didn't know a lot of body language consciously. I had learned quite a bit of body language subconsciously as a way to kind of gauge in my upbringing how people were going to respond, how my mom was going to react, how my dad was going to react, all these different people. I had to learn body language so that I knew how to act inside of my family sphere, because there was a lot of abuse and you just didn't know. You could say the wrong thing, you could do the wrong thing. There were so many reasons that there could be a violent explosion that you had to be aware and be very targeted with how you're acting. And look, I wasn't perfect all the time. I had things I had to learn as well. And part of that learning process, it taught me a lot about humans. The thing is, I wasn't conscious of it. So I had these habits of reading people's body language, but I didn't understand them. So when I started doing summer sales, I actually got a manual and started reading about body language and learning about the different things that could tell you about body language, down to like the direction your feet are pointed in an interview or in a room. You can tell by the way somebody's feet are pointed or how they're sitting, if they're crossed, or all these different things. They tell you about this person and what this person is experiencing to a great degree of accuracy. It's not perfect, obviously. And so with body language, with interpreting and reading body language, you've got to find a way to ask tactful questions to the muse, if you could call them that, whatever, to the subject that you're reading this body language from. And if you are able to ask tactful questions, then you're going to be able to confirm what you believe about their body language, or at least get clarifying information. So what if it's not true? Well, then you know, hey, you misread that sign, but you can go deeper into, okay, well, what about this other sign, and really understand their body language. And once you start thinking that way, I mentioned this a few weeks ago, but it's really like driving a manual transmission vehicle, right? At the beginning, you feel very clunky. You feel like you're like very mechanical about it, and it's just not natural. But over time, those skills, those mechanisms in your head, they're going to become natural. They're going to become subconscious. But what we have to do is we have to take our habits and take them back to behaviors. And then once we get conscious of what we're actually doing, then we have to go back to our identity and say, what do we want? What do we actually want to retrieve out of this experience or out of this process? And then we can start looking for those specific signs. And every time we see those signs, whether it's a buying sign, whether it's a comfort sign, whether it's a peace sign, whatever it is, once we see that our client or our spouse or our child is in that perfect prime position to have that impact, that's the behavior. Then we can go into the habit side of things. And so you've got to go back from your habits. And this is why I say go look for other people. Just go start observing. A funny story, actually, when I was in driver's ed, I missed a class. And so one of the homework pieces for driver's ed was we had to go sit at an intersection for 4 hours, and we had to look and watch for every time somebody broke a law, every time somebody broke a traffic violation. We had to go sit at this busy intersection and just observe. We had to write down the color, make, model of the car, and then we had to write down the law that they broke. not like the code, but like they didn't use their turn signal. They did use their turn signal. They ran a red light. They didn't slow down. They were going too fast. Whatever the case was, we had to write all that stuff down. And that's what I'm encouraging you to do here. If you want to really understand body language, one, get some books on it. And I'll throw a few that have helped me understand body language. I'll put those down into the text here, the show notes. But basically what's important is that you're actually studying it. Okay, so that's the first thing, is go learn it that way, but then go and experience it. Go find out what other people are, how they're communicating. Once you start observing that, you're going to be hyper aware of everybody's body communication. What that naturally does when you start observing other people is it naturally helps you be more aware of yourself. And so as you're aware of yourself, you're like, man, I cross my feet a lot. I need to focus on that. I slouch quite a bit. I need to focus on standing up. I fold my arms. I pop my knuckles. I twist my head. I smile more than other people. I frown more than other people. Whatever it is, you're going to recognize those things inside of yourself. And the whole effort is to bring them more conscious body language communications rather than subconscious. Because the worst thing is for you to think you're communicating one thing, but because your body language has been programmed to communicate another, you're actually not communicating. Your message of confidence, your message of what you do for work, your message of, hey, I'm the mother here. Hey, I'm the father. I'm the brother or sister, whatever it is, whatever your message is. If you're saying this, but you're saying it from a weak position and you're not, and you're closed off, you're kind of hunched over and you're, hey, this is what I do for work, or this is what I did at home today, whatever it is. If you're consciously like curled up, well, subconsciously curled up with your body language, and that's how you do everything in your life. But then you have this deep seated emotion and passion inside of you that you want to share with everybody. It's going to come out through this very weak and insecure message and voice if you maintain that posture. And so you actually have to change your body language. And just by changing your body language, doing nothing else, just by changing your body language, physiologically, you're more confident. And physiologically, you're able to deliver your message with more power, passion, and believability. People are more willing to listen to you simply because of the way your body language is reacting. And what's crazy is you're more likely to listen to you because of your body language. And that's the key. You need to understand how to listen to yourself. So it's going from habit, and that's the subconscious action of all your body language, bringing that to the conscious level. So you're actually creating your body language. You're learning to communicate in accordance with what you believe, your brand, everything that you want to show up as in the world. You can calculate down to exactly how you want to show up. You can create body language habits that are going to produce trust, credibility, all those things in the way you want to show up. But what's cool is then you can go back down to your identity and say, okay, here's my identity. Here's what I believe about myself deep inside my heart. Here's what lights my heart on fire. How can I express that through body language? So there's what we call the Locker combination. So it's 55, 37, 8. And depends on which study you see, because some people say 55 is almost always the body language component, but sometimes it's 38, 7 or 37, 8. I mean, it's just is dependent on which study you're reading and who wrote the book, and it's fine. That's not super important. Just know that there's a lot of different ways to split this up, but ultimately body language is more than half of what you're communicating. The language you're sharing with somebody is more than half of that. So if you can just even get proficient, not master it, just get proficient at your body language, you're going to be leaps and bounds miles ahead of every other communicator out there. You're going to be able to just crush it when you get on stage, when you get in front of your children, when you get in front of your religious organization, whatever it is. When you step on into a place of position and authority, you're just simply because of your body language, you're going to have that. Even if you're not in a position of authority and you're just out meeting with a friend and your friend needs help, right? If you are able to program your body language better, you're going to feel better about yourself. You're going to be more confident, and you're going to make sure that whatever you do choose, whatever counsel you are giving, it's coming from a pure place of power rather than non-power. So understanding body language is in my opinion, one of the ultimate keys to progress. This week on Friday, we're going to have a master face reader on our show, and she's incredible. And I'm going to do a review on one of the books that she read to really understand this, because I want to learn, right? And my whole objective in life is to get better and gain more knowledge every day of the week. And so I'm going to read one of her books, but during the recording of that, she actually read my face. She's in Texas. I'm here. She actually read my face. She could tell me things just by looking at my face about my personality and about specific events in my life, in my past. that I hadn't told anybody about, that I didn't talk about on the air, right? Certain things she was able to tell just by looking at my face and the profile and the wrinkles and all this stuff. She's a master at reading faces, right? And that's one area. I mean, that's 9 by 9 circle, maybe surface area of being able to read somebody from their body language. But all the rest of it, that's all body language that even herself is not mastered in reading, right? So when I started this episode out, I mentioned, there's a lot of different areas that you can actually focus on and learn about. She focuses just on the face, and she's able to tell so much about somebody. What if you had that ability? What if you could read from your child's face exactly what they're experiencing? Because it doesn't matter what the events are. I mean, it kind of does, but not really. The events are going to be, those are like the level ground, but each person, as they come in and they experience that event, that experience builds their own little building, their own little perspective on what happened at that event. And so the event is kind of a surface playing field. That's probably the facts. The problem is everybody has their own perception of the facts. And so even though you think your child's happy, you think your child is growing up very well level-headed and happy and all these things, what if your child isn't experiencing their childhood that way? What if you could read that and identify that and then go and serve your child, help them become better? What if your employee or your business partner or your spouse, I mean, whatever it is, what if you could go and actually change the way they were experiencing, or at least understand, maybe not change, but at least understand the way they were experiencing life simply because you learned how to understand, read, and interpret body language. And that is what we're going to get from our guest, Julia Parker, on Friday. Maybe it's Julia Parker on Friday. I'm super excited for you guys to be able to hear her. I'm so grateful that she was on my show and was willing to share her expertise with us. But I can't express enough. You've got to learn this body language thing to be successful and build a meaningful legacy, because as you starts with your identity. Who are you? Then goes to your behaviors, and then goes to your habits. And those habits, whether you like it or not, those are going to be those nervous tics that people will remember forever. And maybe you intentionally plant a nervous tic into your body language just so that people will remember you for that nervous tic forever. If it lends to your message, if it lends to your brand, do it. There's no reason not to have something that's very specific, very unique to you, that's body language, because that is a major contributor, and sight is so much more memorable than sound. So if you can create that very specific trait, that's awesome. For something that I get told a lot when I'm speaking, not just by family members, but by everybody, they say, wow, Sam, you have extremely expressive eyebrows. You move your eyebrows, if nothing else on your face moves, you move your eyebrows a lot. And that's something that's very, I would say, unique to me. I know probably 2 or 3 other people who are very, very expressive with their eyebrows, but not a ton of people, right? So when people meet Sam, they're going to be like, he's a little crazy, he looks intense, and his eyebrows, they move, okay? And that's something that's unique to me. It's not something I planned, but I'm okay with it because I want to make sure that whatever is happening in my life, I'm being remembered for. And so that's something that I am okay with. I'm conscious of it because somebody else brought it to my consciousness, and I decided, yes, that's an okay thing to keep. Now, I have consciously have to try to express more on my face, use my hands more when I'm talking in intentional movements, not just like random flailing of my arms, but intentional movements that are going to invite people in to listen and invite people in to have that trust rather than pushing people away, right? I have to learn how to not do this chopping thing with my hands, but actually invite people into what I'm saying and invite them into a continuous flow of movement, right? And you can still make a point with your hands without chopping people, right? That's what they call it in the body language world. Without chopping people, you can still make a hand gesture that invites people, right? Waving your hand almost like a choir director. You can still make a point, pause, point, pause, point, pause, and it's a flowy motion. And so inside of somebody's mind, they actually think, oh, continuation. This is part of the process. And it connects things simply by your body language. You're saying, hey, connect this to the last point, connect this to the last point, connect this to the last point, rather than, hey, separate, decompartmentalize, right? We want to connect and create as much connection to us and emotional, body, and visual as we can. That way our message can be remembered. The important thing about that is that those habits, mindsets, and behaviors, they're going to create that legacy, and you want your legacy easily transmutable to the people around you who are going to be following you and helping you become more and reach your ultimate legacy. So that is what I have today. Remember, take a screenshot, tag me in it, give you a shout out on the next episode. Go check out my website, samknickerbocker.com, and request my webinar and my ebook there. They're life-changing, and they're absolutely on target, on point. It's so funny. I go to these different seminars and other things all the time. And when people are like, oh, this is why it's important. Like, I wrote a book about that. I have word for word almost exactly that in my book. And I've never heard you speak before. But because it's such a universally true principle, then I have certain principles that are word for word, and then I expound on them in a way that I've never heard anybody else expound on. And that is what I love about my ebook, is it's really targeted onto why you need to be wildly financially successful, and gives you the inspiration to go do it. So that is the ebook there. Definitely go check that out, and we will catch you next time on Fueling Your Legacy. Thanks for joining us today. If what you heard resonated with you, please like, comment, and share on social media. Tag me so I can give you a shout out on the next episode. And thanks to all those who have left a review. It helps spread the message of what it really takes to build a legacy that lasts. Catch you next time on Fueling Your Legacy.